Hey everybody, it's Dave from Nerdbox, and welcome back to another episode of the Pop 5. Now before we begin today's list, let's get one thing out of the way up front. We all want Stu Macher to return in Scream 7. Well, most of us want him to come back. And we've been waiting for over 25 years for Stu to walk back into this franchise as the Ghostface King. And honestly, it feels more likely than ever today, especially after seeing that trailer. But what horror loves more than fan service is misdirection. So today we're going to ask a dangerous question. What if Stu's return is the red herring? What if he's not Ghostface? And if it's not him, then who? So today we're going to cut deep into the possibilities and talk about the 5 characters who could be Ghostface in Scream 7 that aren't Stu Macher. Well, let's start with the elephant in the room, or rather, the skirt. In the Scream 7 trailer, we see McKenna Grace's rumored character, Hannah, wearing a blue plaid skirt. And yes, by now everyone knows that the running joke is blue plaid equals Ghostface. And it becomes such a loud fan pattern that any modern writer would be borderline reckless to use that costume choice again unless they were doing it intentionally, using it as a red herring, or hear me out on this. Maybe they're using our assumption of it being a red herring and actually using it as a misdirection. What if that blue plaid skirt is a double bluff and Hannah is really Ghostface in Scream 7? Now, to understand this, we have to know a little bit about her character. Hannah is said to be a drama student, a queen bee social leader, and she is Sydney's daughter, Tatum's best friend. She's also said to come from money, which affords her the opportunity and the resources to research things. Now in Scream 7, we can assume that Hannah grows up extremely close to Tatum. They become each other's best friends in the same way that Sydney and Tatum once were. But here's where the emotional twist comes in. Hannah could be jealous of Tatum. Why, you may be asking? Well, it's fairly simple. Let's think about that. Tatum is the daughter of the most famous final girl of all time. She has a built-in legacy. She will always be in the spotlight as Sydney's kid, and she is destined to be at the center of every story, every threat, and every survival tale going forward. Hannah, despite her beauty, her popularity, her talent, she is still just Hannah at the end of the day. And this becomes fertile soil for resentment. And if Hannah learns about Sydney's history, the murders, the fame, the survivor mythology, she might start fantasizing about how she could step into that legacy herself. What if Scream 7's most shocking reveal is that Stu Macher is not Ghostface, nor is Kirby, and nor is a member of the cult, but it is Gale Weathers herself. And no, this is not as the puppeteer, the master of the Ghostface cult from the start of the franchise. She isn't the secret mastermind like we've talked about in theory videos on this channel and you've seen elsewhere. This is something different. This is a theory where Gale finally becomes the monster that she's been chasing for almost 30 years. Gale losing Dewey in Scream 5 wasn't just tragic, it was catastrophic for her psyche. This was the one person who loved her unconditionally, kept her grounded, and reminded her who she really was.
The head.
What?
You have to shoot them in the head, or they always come back.
Dewey, who gives a fuck?
I do.
And then he died trying to protect the new kids. Not her, not Sydney, them. And she has to live knowing that Dewey died in a Ghostface story that she wasn't even there to help stop.
But they certainly leave a mark before they go, don't they? Richie and Amber managed to butcher Dewey, carved him up like a Christmas goose. How does it feel to lose the only man who ever loved you?
Fuck you.
How does
His murder is the moment that the floor falls out from underneath Gale. And by the end of Scream 6, Gale is stabbed almost to death. And the man that she was starting to care about, maybe even love, is also killed. For Gale, that's it. That's when something inside of her crosses a line. She's lost the only two men that she's ever loved to Ghostface, and she blames Ghostface. She blames the legacy, and in the darkest corner of her mind, she even blames Sidney, because Sidney always walks away. Sidney always survives, and Sidney is always championed. And Gale, she's just left with the corpses. And while she's built her entire career on bloodshed, her bestsellers making her famous for exposing murderers, her success is literally built on death.
Perfect. Tell me, Kenneth, has a cheesy tabloid journalist ever won the Pulitzer?
First time for everything.
So her motive is, if Ghostface never ends, neither will the deaths of the people that she loves. So she decides that she has to finish it herself. And to end Ghostface, she becomes Ghostface. And yes, that means killing anyone who keeps the cycle going, including Sidney.
Do we? Oh my God, how long has it been? Oh.
I'm just trying to get a run-in before I take the girls to school. How are you?
I'm good, really good. How are you? How's Mark?
When we originally heard that Sidney Prescott's husband would finally be reappearing on screen in Scream 7, everyone assumed, everyone prayed that we got the long-awaited return of Mark Kincaid, played by Patrick Dempsey from Scream 3. And that's not what we got. And that connection had been canon for over 20 years, and instead we got a new Mark, a new actor, and a brand new interpretation of Sidney's husband. So I'll take a moment to remember. Mr. McDreamy, or whatever his nickname was on Grey's Anatomy, Patrick Dempsey as Mark Kincaid.
I will remember you.
What if this Mark Evans is Ghostface in Scream 7? Not because he's evil, not because he's manipulating Sidney, but because he's the only one that can protect her. If the cult were to exist in the Scream universe, that group would absolutely be tracking Sidney, monitoring her family, and attempting an infiltration into her inner circle. But this is where the twist comes in. Maybe Mark was actually a plant by the cult to keep tabs on Sidney all along. But what he didn't bargain for was falling in love with her. And the moment that they have a daughter together, he went rogue. He cut ties, he broke ranks, and he went dark. So now the cult wants revenge, not on just Sidney, but her entire family. They want the Prescott bloodline wiped out, and Mark is the only one with the skills, training, and the personal motivation to fight them on their level. Which explains why there appears to be more than one Ghostface in the Scream 7 trailer, and one who is taller, broader, moves with more tactical precision, and in some shots matches Mark's silhouette. Because this Ghostface might not be trying to unalive Sidney, he might be trying to unalive the people coming for her. One thing that Spyglass got right with the Scream 6 trailers was that they were able to misdirect us into thinking that certain things in that film were going to play out, like Sam snapping and becoming Ghostface, even that little smile on Tara's face that makes you go, maybe she's Ghostface. So what if maybe in the Scream 7 trailer where we see Ghostface burning the Macher house down, not tied to the opening attack itself, but instead it's Mark burning down the Macher house to send a message back to the cult that his family is not to be fucked with. Our next two possible Ghostface suspects have many things that are in common when it comes to burning everything down. And the first one of the characters that we're going to talk about, flying under the radar in Scream 7, but who secretly has the strongest, darkest, and most emotionally devastating motive out of all the people that we're going to talk about today, and that is Leslie Macher, Stu Macher's sister, and the mother of Vince from Scream 5. Now here's the setup. First off, I think Anna Camp may be Leslie in disguise. So, for this topic, we're going to focus on Anna as being Leslie Macher. Leslie has spent her entire life living under the shadow of the Macher name. And you don't survive being the sibling of one of Woodsboro's most infamous monsters without carrying that stigma. Stu's crimes didn't just scar Woodsboro, they infected her, her marriage, her friendship, her reputation, her privacy, everything. Every job interview, every PTA meeting, every public moment carried that weight. Aren't you the sister of Stu Macher? She tried to move on, tried to raise a family, but the town never let her forget who her brother was. Then in Scream 5, Ghostface unalives her son in her own town. Because of the same cycle of violence that her brother started. That's the moment where Leslie fractures. She doesn't just grieve, she breaks, she blames Tara, Sam, Sydney, the town, the legacy, the survivors, the endless Ghostface mythology for taking everything from her. And if the Ghostface curse will never stop, she will become it, and she will end it. She's an anti-fan, she's a hater, she is a person who sees the mask not as a symbol of power, but as a plague. And her mission isn't to continue the unaliving, it's to wipe out the chain of survivors, the heirs, and the cultists that keep the name alive. She doesn't want fame, she wants an eraser. This makes her one of the darkest Ghostface possibilities in the franchise's history. Not driven by ego, love, manipulation, or obsession, but by sincere desire to end the story itself. Leslie Macher becomes Ghostface to unalive and end Ghostface. When fans talk about and theorize about who's under the mask in a Scream film, and most recently with Scream 7, it's the usual suspects, especially after that trailer dropped. Stu Macher, Sydney's love interest, a returning legacy character, but there's one name that no one wants to admit, because admitting it means accepting a version of Scream that's darker, more personal, and more tragic than anything that we've seen in their franchise to date. Martha Meeks would be the most devastating, unexpected, and perfect Ghostface. The sister of a franchise favorite, Randy Meeks, the mother of Mindy and Chad, the woman who handed over Randy's If I'm Dead tape in Scream 3. Because Randy knew his family would never be safe from Ghostface.
The past will come back to bite you in the ass. Whatever you think you know about the past, forget it. The past is not at rest. Any sins you think were committed in the past are about to break out and destroy you.
And now, nearly 30 years later, maybe she finally believes him, and Martha Meeks becomes Ghostface, not out of obsession, but out of despair. Ghostface has haunted her entire adult life. She's lost a brother to Ghostface. Her kids became targets in 2022, and the Ghostface unalivings keep happening, spreading beyond Woodsboro, beyond her control, beyond her ability to protect the only family that she has left. And at some point, as any mother would, she breaks. But a Meeks breaks with purpose. And Martha realizes that the Ghostface isn't a person. It's an idea, it's a cult, it's a virus built from infamy and legacy. And she decides the only way her kids survive is if Ghostface doesn't. That means every Ghostface, every follower, every copycat, every final girl keeping the story alive, maybe even Sydney Prescott herself, because from Martha's perspective, Sydney didn't stop Ghostface, she just survived long enough to inspire more. That's a chilling motive grounded in grief, trauma, and a warped sense of justice. Now, whether these theories pan out or not in Scream 7, one thing's for certain, Scream 7 isn't just a sequel, it is a reckoning where the ghosts of Woodsboro are crawling back out, and every survivor, every family, every legacy could be a suspect. So let me know what your thoughts are and who you think to be under the mask in Scream 7 that's not Stu Macher. Now, me, personally, I would be very happy if Martha Meeks became Ghostface. If I'm not going to get Stu, let me get Martha, because it makes the most sense. Having somebody new under the mask, not so much. It has to be somebody with important ties to the beginning of the franchise if it's not going to be somebody like Sam returning, which is something that we'll talk about in a future theory video. Now, let me know again by dropping your thoughts into the comments below. Drop a like on this video, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Thank you for watching these videos and all of the other ones we have on this channel. Stay tuned for a lot of cool things that are going to be coming out this year that are driven by Nerdbox. And until the next, see ya.